Hey guys, welcome back. It's Mapper here today with episode 17 of 86. So, where we left off last episode, Lena just took control of the entirety of the Republic's forces, or at least those that are actually doing any work anyways. The actual, like, the 86, the ones who are fighting on the front lines, where she is about to mount an epic defense or a catastrophic failure of a defense against the Legion. Which is apparently happening at the same time as when Shin and the others are fighting off the Legion over at the Federacy. Not quite sure what exactly is going on there, like maybe some mistranslation or whatnot, but in any case, I'm really interested to see how exactly Lena takes care of the situation, and hopefully this will also show us a glimpse of what she's been doing for these past few months, and all the preparations that she's made, and so on and so forth, like weaponry, the personnel, to fight off the Legion, or maybe, that this is going to be their last stand, right? And they will eventually have to evacuate to maybe some other place. With that in mind, let's get into the episode. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. That seems to be... Actually, yeah, that's the Republic. Okay, looks like it's going to be a losing proposition, all things considered. I feel like this is fast forwarding a little bit too far though. I want to see like how it got to this point. Don't just stop. Well, I know how I feel about that. Like, of course we can start directly here, but I kind of want to see everything that's happened when she first took control, to the Legion pushing in, to eventually fighting through every city block and whatnot. I have a feeling that would be an epic fight. Although I guess I'm just trying to think right now, like, which would make more sense, right? That the Republic gets completely overrun and so the rest of them retreat to the neighboring countries and whatnot, or for Lena's defense to hold true, even with lots of casualties, they manage to drive back the Legion, and now Lena is essentially the supreme commander of the former Republic, right? I'm just thinking, like, which would make more sense. I mean, both would be epic, don't get me wrong. Oh yeah, and also this part that happened at the end of last episode. Okay. In the last episode, the way that they drew it, it almost seemed like, a direct artillery shot or a missile landed directly in that room, right? At least they do see what it looks like. Yeah. Okay, so the Legion haven't mass-produced this yet. Oh. I'm actually kind of curious, like, so they haven't been in contact for 10 years and now all of a sudden they form like a united front against the Legion? Like, what? Unless, of course, there was something lost in translation or whatnot. Because I recall, like 2 or 3 episodes ago, they were just saying that they managed to gain contact with the other nations. A railgun that literally travels on rails. That's ironic. I mean, compared to repairing it, I would be more worried that the Legion have actually built a second one. Provided by the United Kingdom of Aurora. Airstrike. Oh! I guess we got our next mission. That definitely sounds suicidal. Oh, Nordlight. I think you guys are about to get your next mission. Alright. Hopefully we will get a bit more of that later on. The second half of this episode. Oh. Yep. Where are you guys? September 1st, eh? You know, with everything that's happening right now, as much as I want to feel sympathy for this type of thing, I really just... Like, typically most of... What? Alright. As I was about to say, I think a lot of that kind of settlements, you know, that kind of thing happens after, you know, the war is over. But in any case, what happened there was just his imagination anyways. Aerial entry. Now, isn't that ironic? I mean, it's nice that all of these have a voice once again, right? And to be completely honest, we didn't really get to get that much time to spend with them. And that is a nice sentiment, though. Come on. You haven't confirmed that she's dead yet. I mean, I don't know. I don't really want to comment too much on this, but once again, they did choose to do this. In reality, they'd probably be able to find some some hardcore fanatics of the Federacy that would volunteer to do this kind of mission. I just feel like this entire thing is... like, I don't know. I just feel very conflicted about this entire thing, because on one hand, it's like, oh, they're being discriminated because they're 86, but on the other hand, they also don't want special treatment because they're... like, it's just... I mean, like, seriously. If we... okay, I even completely did not think about how we did not get to see anything in regards to Lena right here. But we'll talk more at the end of this. Alright, so it seems that the next episode is some special visual commentary episode, whatever the hell that means. I guess it means a recap, right? So let's put that aside for now and talk a little bit more about this episode. So first of all, I can't believe that we didn't get to see like what Lena was doing during those few days whilst the attack was going on as well. So that's kind of a from me, because, you know, at this point I'm really not you know, it was fine, right? When the 86 were back in the Republic, right? Having that kind of storyline there and going back and forth in regards to their discrimination and whatnot, sure, that I could kind of deal with. I can kind of get. Now that they are going all the way to the Federacy, and then, you know, they're essentially it's becoming into a sort of them versus the world kind of situation here, right? Which I'm not sure how I feel about that in regards to everything that's going on, because on like, how exactly do they expect to be treated, right? And I mean, like, sure, they, first of all, don't get me wrong, right? They've had it bad, you know, they've been discriminated against, you know, their families have torn apart, you know, all that stuff. I can understand, right? Okay, let's take all that as granted. Now, when they got to the Federacy, right, they were given a choice of not going back to the military, and indeed, you know, you could argue about how, you know, this tramples over their pride or anything, or they don't want people's pity or whatnot. But if you don't want people's pity, right? If you don't want to be sort of rewarded for this, or I don't know, get some special treatment because of your past and what you went through, then what exactly do you expect here, right? You chose to go back to the battlefield, and then, you know, of course you're going to get into situations like this, right? Like, even if we take away all the discrimination here, right, about how, and by the way, though, a lot of this discrimination is also kind of on I don't know how to say this. See, I want to make a point here of some of this discrimination. I feel like is becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because Shin and the others, they kind of have this innate sort of feeling that this is how they're going to be treated, which causes them to act in a certain way, and then causes the others to treat them in that way. You guys get what I mean? So it's really sort of like a negative kind of spiral that's going on here, and it just feels kind of really uncomfortable to look at, because it's like you're not being completely thrown into this kind of situations. There was a way to completely get you away from these kinds of suicidal missions or these very dangerous missions and whatnot, but you chose to go through it head on. Like, sure, if you say that is your pride as a soldier and that is what you want to do and whatnot, then fine. But in that case, I am not going to really you've made your choice. I'm not going to feel sympathy over you for being sent onto this mission. Which, by the way, like, disregarding anything else that the higher brass are saying or whatnot, or how Shin and the others, they feel about the situations themselves, objectively speaking, they are the best suited for this kind of mission, right? So, even if we strip away like all sorts of prejudice and discrimination and all that, let's assume that none of that actually happens. Somebody has to do this, right? And as one of the generals there said, or one of the chiefs of staff said back there in the strategic meeting, these people probably have the best chance of getting the mission done, right? They are already the elite crack unit of the Federacy at this point, right? The elite squadron here. So obviously, them being the spearheads of this operation makes a lot of sense. I know that we're supposed to feel sympathetic in a way, and how they're kind of like being thrown right into the meat grinder once again. They're being sent on these sort of suicidal missions, but context really matters, I feel, and this is a completely different situation than what it was in the Republic, at least in my eyes, okay? Because even looking at this just objectively, they are the best suited to do this kind of thing, and how else are you going to do it? Like I said before, if truly some kind of situation like this happens, history has already taught us, right? Like, even though this might not be Earth, right? But human history has taught us that whenever we get into this kind of situations, you will always, if your nation's people has pride in your nation and your soldiers has pride in your nation, you are still always going to be able to find volunteers to do this kind of mission. It's not like their only choice is the Nordlicht, right? But I fully agree, actually, that the Nordlicht probably has the best chance of successfully carrying out this mission, and maybe, perhaps, with a minuscule chance of surviving until the very end and coming back safely, right? Now, obviously, we know that they are protagonists of an anime, so, their chances of survival are also a little bit higher based on that fact. But, even disregarding all that, they probably do have the best survival chance out of anybody else within the Federacy. So, and I think that's the main point here. So that's why, throughout this entire episode, I don't know. I just don't really know how to feel here, because on one hand, they are sort of like, it's trying, the episode at hand is trying to build up this into a situation where they're sort of prejudiced by the Federacy as well. It's the exact same situation as the Republic, and so on and so forth. But, deep down, I really don't think that way. I really feel like it's a completely different situation. Maybe some of the sentiment is the same, and certainly, I don't think they've been the most approachable to this situation as well. It's just a shitty situation all around, right? Because it's a two-way kind of thing, okay? Relations with each other. It's not just a case of, because you act in a certain way, so you're expecting the other party to treat you in some certain way as well, your idealized way. It's a two-way sort of communication kind of thing. And so far, I feel like the normal Federacy soldiers, they're also not quite sure on how they should act versus the 86, right? And whatnot. And not to mention, I feel like in a lot of ways, we are really put into these kind of situations where I feel like a lot of unreasonable outcomes or unreasonable situations come out of all of this, right? Where for some reason they're constantly hated by everybody, right? Part of that is also due to their own attitude, but I feel like another part of this is really, really artificial. They're really, like I said, it's really trying to drum up this narrative of it's the 86 versus the world, and they're going to be treated the same like wherever they go. So in that kind of perspective, I'm kind of, I feel like that's really pushing a sort of agenda way too hard here. Am I the only one that thinks like this? Right? I mean, come on, you within the Republic, you had the excuse that the normal people within the Republic, right, they are of a certain race, right? So based on racial profiles and whatnot, they discriminate against the 86, even even disregarding any kind of net positive that they brought, on the battlefield or otherwise, right? Whereas here, being a little bit more objective, you would say, all right, they are foreign, right? They are a sort of foreign legion, they are foreign soldiers and whatnot, but hey, they're getting the job done. They are saving our asses on the battlefield. And just for that alone, they deserve respect. And I feel like it shouldn't be as hostile a situation as we see here. I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying. So yeah, anyways, okay. So with that all being said and done, let's just see what exactly is going to happen in the future, right? But obviously we get a little bit more into the entire psychic situation as well. Apparently some other things are going to be revealed in the future. Probably has to do with Federica herself as well. Maybe something to do with her family, or specific people. Definitely Shin as well, and his family, the Nozen family, and that kind of thing as well. In regards to the actual situation at hand, I also feel like there's lots of other questions that I want answered, including, I talked a little bit about this in the episode as well, how, why for the past 10 or so years, the various nations weren't able to make contact with each other, and now apparently they're finding a way to coordinate with each other in a very, how can I say, in a very advanced manner, right? It's just kind of like moving along at a fast pace, and I still feel like a lot of the context in regards to the situation. Now, I think it's important, right? I know that they're kind of focusing right now on the story of these few soldiers, these few boys and girls who are being discriminated against, for lack of a better word here. But I don't know, like, to me, I still kind of want to focus more on the sort of overall context of the war and whatnot, what's happening there, what's happening on the various fronts, and how that ultimately maybe impacts on the decisions that the various parties make, which will ultimately be reflected onto how they treat Shin and the others, the 86 as well, right? I feel like those things all added together really helps build the story, instead of just, looking at this from personal feelings and how and just interpersonal dialogues and that kind of thing. I'm a kind of guy that likes to look at this more from a macro perspective, if you will. Like, even back in the Republic, for me, I'm much more curious as to how exactly they got into that situation in the first place, where they are discriminating against the 86, right? Now, obviously, that one is a lot easier because I've mentioned before, it's just really sort of drawing parallels to Nazi Germany, I guess you could say, where they basically only want their one race of Aryans, and everything else needs to be purged and whatnot. It's drawing direct references to there, I feel, but all the various other nations, what's happening on the various fronts. Is this mission such critical as they say? Is there really no other kind of way to accomplish this? And I don't know. I just like to know a lot of this other kind of contextual kind of stuff, and also including, like, they're saying 8 months, right? So I don't know. Do you guys think that there's going to be a twist at the very end, where after they spend all this time getting rid of that long-range railgun artillery, then instantly a second one shows up, right? I don't know. I kind of feel like that could very well happen, especially considering how the intelligence that we've received so far has certainly been known to be flawed in a lot of ways. So yeah, I'm curious about that kind of stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, this kind of sentimental stuff is not really what I'm really watching this for, even though it is a big part of the story, right? But still, I want to see what they do regardless of this kind of thing, right? At the very least, here in the Federacy, right, they do have the full support of the army as well, in terms of, you know, leading a decoy or supplies and equipment and stuff like that. Yeah, but it's just, I feel like they are pushing this entire discrimination thing a little bit too hard now, and I don't know, it's getting to the point that I'm being more annoyed by all the other, you know, the fluff that's going on in regards to this, rather than the actual war story itself, right? And heck, even, I gotta say, even like Shin's own sort of PTSD towards everything here, you know, his the demons that he has within him in regards to all those that he failed to save and whatnot, even that is much more interesting than this entire I feel like discrimination kind of thing right now. But then again, right, the series itself is literally called 86, so I guess this is a stigma and whatnot that is going to be brought up repeatedly throughout the entire series, because hey, it's kind of what the story is based on, right? So I guess in that sense, I'm really barking up the wrong tree. I mean, this is probably going to be a central focal point of the entire story. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about that. And you know, am I being a little bit too harsh or a little bit too cynical about the entire situation? Maybe. And in fact, I would actually say I'm trying to be positive about the situation, right? I'm trying to be optimistic and thinking that, you know, the Confederacy or indeed anywhere, like even within the Republic, right? It's not going to be such a case where everything is pure negativity and hatred towards the 86. I kind of feel like, in a certain perspective, because we are looking at things from Shin's and the other 86's point of view, that we're getting this kind of you know, exposure to all this kind of discrimination and hatred, because it's sort of trying to allow us to look at things from their perspective, right? And you know, I don't know whether it's utilized in this work or not, but a lot of times in literature, in media and whatnot, there is this kind of concept where, hey, even for the victim, right, a certain sense of prejudice might set in, which also affects, you know, it warps your own view of the others around you, which, you know, in this episode it is kind of hinted a little bit, where Shin is already starting to imagine things which don't actually happen, right? He's hearing thoughts, he's hearing people saying things to him that aren't actually being said. He's just simply thinking that those are the words that are going to be said due to his past trauma, due to his past experiences, and now it's kind of like hitting him as well, right? And I'm not just talking about, you know, the other 86 that he's failed to save, like all the lives that are depending on him. I'm not just talking about that part. I'm talking about, you know, their treatment, and that goes for every single one of those 5 as well. Yeah, hopefully this came across as coherent, yeah, well, 15 minutes already. I've been talking for a long time, and I really thought I didn't want to talk about too much within this episode. But hey, anyways, that's it for now. If next episode is just a pure recap, I'm not going to watch it. I'd rather save my time, to be honest. If it does turn out to be a pure recap, then I guess I will see you guys 1 week after that. So stay tuned, guys, and bye-bye.